Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Maybe I'm Just Not Getting It. I'm your podcast host, Robert Davis. Before we start again, just want to take a moment to thank everybody for tuning into the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at RTD underscore III and Facebook, Robert Trey Davis III. The podcast is on Spotify, um, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. If you listen to it on any other platform, just let me know, and I can put it up there. Um, and in today's episode, wanted to kind of delve into something that I feel very, what's what I'm looking for, very personal about. I enjoy a lot, and that's kind of gaming and talking about kind of the culture of that. And I thought to myself, who better to talk about it than another gamer, my brother-in-law Clarence. I'm going to give you the moment, to introduce yourself to everybody.
All right. Like I said, my name is Clarence. I go by Winter on some other socials and stuff like that. And thank you for having me. I'm a gamer for one. I'm a streamer in my my free time. Um yeah, so this is definitely my space, so I'm looking forward to talking about something that I hold near and dear to my heart,
That's
which
great. That's great. And like, I think that kind of brings me right to the start of it is like, I think gaming as an activity is something that, many people enjoy for a variety of reasons. Like, I think it provides, like, for me, it always provides an escape. I mean, like an escape just from your day, like, like
Mhm.
from your everyday type of task in life. It's an easy form of entertainment. Like some of the best forms of entertainment has been through gaming. Um, and I think it's just one of the more creative forms of media. It's something that you're interacting with. Like TV, you're watching it. It's like TV that you can literally interact with.
Right, right. So for me, man, I got into gaming real young age. I was
Yeah.
a Nintendo guy. That was my first console. So that's when I got into it. And I remember being up for hours. Ninja Turtles 2, that was the game. And I could not beat it. And it was like one of those things where and I don't think I've ever beat it, even to this
To
day.
this day. Yeah.
Um, but it was just like you said, it was an escape. It was just, I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle so bad. This is allowing me to do that. So,
Yeah.
now I'm a part of this world because I'm controlling that character. So that's where it started for me.
Yeah, man. I can't even think of where did it start for me. I think it was my cousin had a Sega Genesis, and that's what I remember playing, but I think it was before that. Oh no, when I was a kid, the kid next door, he had the Super Nintendo. So he had
Mm,
Super Nintendo and he had old Mario.
okay.
And I think console, my first console was a handheld. I think I got the like Game Boy Color. I think might have actually been the first I had for myself.
Okay.
Uh,
So that
so
was what Pokemon?
yeah. Oh yeah, Pokemon Red. It was
Yeah.
Pokemon Red. No, it was Pokemon. Yeah, it was
Uh,
Pokemon Red. I
that yeah.
remember. I played the crap out of that. And like,
That, that was another one for me. Like once Pokemon, oh man, I love that game.
yeah,
I fell in love.
and it's interesting to see kind of like how it's grown now. Like I know gaming and when I was coming up, and it was probably even different for you. Like it was like it wasn't like a nerd activity, but it wasn't like a popular like I wouldn't say a popular thing, but it wasn't like the popular kids were doing it or stuff like that. And so
Hmm.
it's interesting to see how now, like, everybody is streaming, everybody is playing, everybody, is promoting their tags and everything like that. And it's just interesting to see kind of how that's changed over time.
So I think it happened because now we were early adopters into we were the outside kids.
Yeah,
We were the kids that were told to go outside.
outside. Yeah.
There was no like if you were able to one get a console
Right.
or a handheld or something to actually have it, it was rare. So once you got it and you fell in love, now we're the parents of the children that are getting
Right.
these games because It was something that we enjoyed. So now that's why it seems like it's so um prevalent
Yeah,
now, is because we were the kids that the early adopters, and we understood, oh, this is what we wanted, and so we got into it. So now it's like gaming is a part of everyday society, like you said, and now it's just evolving into the streaming, the all that whole space, the tournaments and things like
yeah,
that, where people are making a lot of money playing these games, where it was just something that we wanted to do because it was
right.
new.
I think I mean, that's a great point. I mean, I think like that to the point that the change it brought kind of like some both positive and negative kind of impacts to it. I think, we've seen in the past, I'd say 10 years, because I remember even I was at a Pokemon competition like as a kid. Like I remember going, like if the game wasn't
Okay.
going, like I remember going to one with my cousin.
Mhm.
But like it to your point, it seems like it has hyped up like the competition and everybody, is trying to be online. Because I remember I thought it was weird because I forget what the game was. Fight Night Champion. It's Fight Night.
Okay.
I challenged for a world title in that online. And I thought to myself, I played this game an awful lot. Like I was like, I played this game an awful lot to be able to get to that point.
Right.
And but now I see like people do that on the regular, like and I'm just like, okay, it's really the competition aspect of it. I think,
Mhm.
and not just competition, like streaming. I think 'cause you have to play to a certain level to stream, unless you're like, like you're famous or something like that, or you're just like cool. Like,
Right.
people are watching it to see you succeed at a certain thing. So it's interesting to see just how it's kind of changed into that kind of, I don't say promotion, but heavy type of aspect to it.
Yeah. So as far as streaming for me though, I'm not like a really high level gamer.
Yeah,
I think people watch my stream for my personality, which is a whole nother,
right.
back to the original point of it wasn't cool. Like people that weren't coming to watch
Yeah,
the nerd display. Like once it became cool and they see these people have personalities and all this other stuff, now it's like, oh, okay, well, he's actually not that bad. Let me go watch his Twitch, or
yeah,
watch him play this game. So now that it is becoming more popular, you can do those things like stream and stuff like that, because people are coming to see the person, not
yeah.
necessarily the gameplay. Now, unless you're really good, like if you're like one of the top whatever, and you're doing all that crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Then it's like, yeah, then it's like, yeah, people come to see that. But to your point, like the streamer is what sells the stream itself.
Yeah, yep. And not the game, because now if you're streaming, a lot of people are streaming the same game.
Yeah.
So it has to be something that brings people in. And like I said, normally it's the personality, it's not the game, because everyone's streaming the same games. Um, so yeah, it's got to be.
I feel you on that. And I think like it's I think to a degree, to ask you a question, I think in talking about just kind of why this kind of matters or why it's important is I think you kind of brought up a point of how I don't want to say casual gaming is dying, but it does seem like I guess it's a shift to more, I guess everyday people are being more competitive with it. And I want to see
Um,
if you I want to say if you witnessed that or if you've experienced not experienced it yourself, but if you've seen that.
so
So
I think competitive gaming was always there,
yeah,
right? That really high level. Now, like think about going to an arcade back in the day.
yeah, you're right.
You had to be like if you put your quarter in,
You had to go.
you
Yeah,
don't
you
want to
had to
lose.
show up.
Right. So it started then, like
Yeah,
people were really competitive once that happened, and those same people are still super competitive.
yeah,
The more casual gamers came from more of playing in the house and playing like the single player games, the story games like the Marios, the Sonics, where you don't have to go against anybody. But if you think about, like you said, the Fight Nights, the Street Fighters, the
checking. Yeah, all of them.
Tekken,
Yeah,
right? You you
you
always
had to be
had
nice. Yeah,
competitiveness in it, and you wanted to be the best on the block, the best in the, at the
yeah,
arcade, the best. So now it's grown because it is online. So now you almost seem like you're competing every day. Now, to that point, what is dying is just like just to have fun part of it. Like people
Yeah.
don't, just get on to have fun. Now everyone wants to compete. Like you're not gonna just have a casual fun game unless you're playing a single player game.
Uh, I agree with you on that, and it's weird because like if I'm playing, I mean anything, you can play Call of Duty, you can play Madden, anything. People really do get like if they start losing, they really do get pissed. To your point of it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like people get to get on and be like, oh yeah, if I'm doing good, cool. If I feel like I'm good at the game, yeah, whatever. But like just to be like, oh, I'm just playing this. Like if I have a bad game, okay, you have a bad day, all right, whatever. Like I'm playing it to
Right.
have fun. That point of it does seem like it is kind of going to the wayside. And I think, to a degree, I think to the degree it goes against what gaming stood for to begin with. It's supposed to be something that's like no pressure. Like, I mean, it's pressure
Mhm.
in terms of the game, but like it's no pressure added on in terms of like, oh, you need to succeed at this to have fun at it or something like that. And I think that's part of kind of where, to your point, is going now, is where people feel a lot more pressure to be like, oh, I have to succeed at this, or I have to get this particular skin or this particular thing to
Mhm.
like or to look, like everybody else in the game or something like that. And I think that's kind of a weird place it's going to. But I mean, I get it, but it's like, yeah, like, take it down a notch to a degree.
Right. And also, I don't know if there's too many co-op games,
Yeah,
right? So if you think about like I said, Ninja Turtles, I fell in love with that game, or Mario. Like you were doing something together.
right.
You weren't going against one another
Anybody,
person.
right.
You were trying to finish this level together. Four people on the screen, we're all trying to get to this
Yeah, the
endpoint
same
together.
thing.
Now it's all right, can I beat you here? How fast can I kill you? Basketball, Madden, whatever it is, it's
Always one on
literally
one.
putting
It's
a
always a
person against a
competition.
person.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of the co-op games. Like I can't think of too many co-op games that's out right now
Yeah,
that you're trying to complete a mission or a story or something like that together.
yeah, I mean, I think you got a point because I remember Call of Duty used to have at least a mode focused on that. Like, you had different like co-op with different missions where
Mhm.
it's like, oh yeah, you co-op these particular sets of missions, but no, they don't. I don't think they do that. That's I'm almost certain they don't do that anymore. They just go
Right.
straight online multiplayer. Like,
Right. So, that takes away from that working together fun part of it that was there before.
yeah,
I still like co-op games. I like getting on with my friends and playing the game together.
yeah,
The only problem is now we got to play against other people, and that's not always fun for me. That's
yeah.
that's stressful.
It is
So,
because yeah, it does bring a certain level of performance type of thing to it, where it's like, all right, we were just supposed to be trying to do a mission, like like against the computer, you can have fun, like you can literally just like be like, all right, like
right.
when it's other people that you're playing against, then it's like, okay, now I got to try to like not suck at least, like,
Hmm.
and yeah, that brings a whole different element to it, and
Right.
and like a weird thing to switch, not to switch gears, but weird thing I say weird. Like one thing I think is interesting is that games are getting, I guess, deeper now, like in content and story. I mean, I guess because they put more development into them. Um, like they're becoming more, what's the word I'm looking for? As far as like pieces of media, they're becoming more respected. I think that's a definite shift in it. Like more, I always they when I was younger, they used to make the joke that like movies based on video games always suck.
Right.
And now you're seeing like them actually making like good movies and TV shows based on video games, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, like some of these video games, like they're getting, well-known actors. It's not just like a random character. Like, it's like, you're getting well-known actors and you're getting their face, put in, like they're really promoting these people.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, I think that's one interesting change in just how it as a piece of media itself has been, treated. It's almost like some games come out and it's almost like a movie,
Yeah.
like,
And more recently, there have been a couple of games and shows that have come from video games. I think Borderland was one of them
yeah,
that just released. That was a movie. Halo, the TV show, just
yeah,
came out a few years ago, and these were good quality shows. Resident Evil's been out for a long time.
right.
That started from a game. So I feel like video games have always had a good story if you take the time to actually play through and watch it and listen. They've always been very story driven and really, really good. Those single player,
Yeah,
even the co-op stories, amazing. So it's no wonder that they're making good movies. If they stick to, the game, it's kind of easy to
it
make a good
is.
movie from it.
I'm shocked they haven't made
Because
a Grand Theft Auto one or a Red Dead Redemption one yet, quite honest.
yeah, Assassin's Creed is another one that
Yeah,
has that story
just a
like
long, multiple
right.
stories to pull from.
So, it's and they still might even Mortal Kombat, they're about to remake another
Yeah, make
movie of
another
that
one.
really soon. Started from a video game and granted they're taking little bits and pieces of the story and kind of mixing it up. It's still a good movie though.
Yeah.
Even the Mario movie, the cartoon that just came out, amazing movie.
It
So,
is. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a space for people to make movies and things like that off of these games, even books. Like I've read some like the Halo had a book that was a really good continuation of the story from the game.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of media that can come from these games, which is funny. Even the music, you
Yeah,
know, the music in these games are that they're making hits, you know?
they are. They definitely are. I mean, I think you bring up a good point, like in the sense that I think gaming as a concept is bigger in our culture now than it's ever been. I mean, it's too big, I guess, to ignore like the presence of it,
Hmm.
and it's very much I mean, from a gamer, like it's an exciting time to be in where you see something that you love receive so much attention and receive so much kind of people putting in work into it too. People are putting out better games than ever. I should say better, but I guess as technology has advanced, they're putting out high quality games,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so it's a good place to be in. And I think like to the point that the industry doesn't. I think they have an incentive to keep this going because of the money that they're making. To keep trying to push this out as much as possible. Um, and like I think to kind of going just to some examples of it, like some games have really strong fanhoods that kind of drive its popularity. Like, Grand Theft Auto can come out 10 years from now and people will still be like, oh, yeah, that's Grand Theft Auto because, it's built on it. I think Call of Duty is one of the similar ones where it's like, it has a base of people that are going to off back play Call of Duty. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think Halo was one that I remember growing up that people was like, "Hey, we hopping on Halo." Like, that was a base. People got Xboxes just to play Halo.
Yeah.
So,
I'm one of them.
like I think with younger generation and kids, I think Fortnite and Roblox are two that you see like that like they have such strong fanhoods and games in a different way. Like it's a free game, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
in a different way. Like and so it's interesting to see games that drive so much. I mean, that have so much of a strong fanhood because I guess growing up it was like that, but it wasn't this publicly strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, Even like I went back and said, the Mario movie. Mario has been around for almost 40, 50 years,
Right.
maybe more than that. Mario, Pac-Man. Pac-Man has a fan base. You wouldn't think so, but if Pac-Man came out with a game, you'd be like some
Yeah.
people would get it.
We'll
Um,
definitely go see it.
Donkey Kong, Sonic, it's just like you said, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, um, even the 2K series with the basketball and if a wrestling game comes out, like there's certain, fans of not just the game, of the character that no matter what happens,
Yeah.
they're gonna want to see what's going on next. And that's really what it is. Like they just want to know what's happening next. And like you said, mentioned Fortnite and Roblox, those games are so popular with the younger generation and they're free games. Like there's no, let me rephrase that. They're free to
Free to
download,
play. Free to
free to
play.
play,
Mhm.
but we gonna get into
Yeah.
um and it's just a cultural, like I don't know when it became such pop culture, and
Yeah.
the Fortnite dances and the
The way
um
that Fortnite has like intertwined with like TikTok, and it's like hand in hand, like almost how they just intertwine. Like a dance is on TikTok, and oh, it's on Fortnite, like almost immediately. Like,
yeah, that's right. TikTok, I can admit the creators of Fortnite will not miss the opportunity to stay current.
yeah,
Like it's in current events, it is on Fortnite. And that's amazing
yeah,
because
it is.
you know that they're actually paying attention to what's going on around them. And the game has been out for maybe 15 years. The
Yeah,
same
it's old.
game
Yeah, it is
hasn't
old at
changed
this
much, and
point.
it may be less, but I'm gonna say 15. Fortnite has been what it's been, and they'll just update it, add some skin, like, but the core game, same thing.
It may be the most popular free to download game that I've ever seen. Like when I was growing up, I might be wrong. I could have swore it was Minecraft. It might have been the most popular.
Mm,
Because like kids were playing Minecraft when I was in middle school. And I tried to get into it. And I was like, I wouldn't get was so far. But like
hmm
I know people like that would just go hard on Minecraft. And then I would think to myself, and I see that similar like when Fortnite was doing when they started with the build modes and stuff, I was like, okay, that's how I see it. I saw it similar to that. Like, oh, people are building stuff. And now it seemed like they kind of like it was half of that, and then it was half kind of like Call of Duty almost in the sense
hmm
of just running around shooting. And it's like it just took off.
Yeah, yeah. I never got into Minecraft. I don't think I've ever played Minecraft. So I don't really like, and that's a
It's
whole nother world itself.
yes, it's a
Like
lot.
it's
It's a lot.
it's its own universe, and that's another thing. Movie just came out for Minecraft, and did really well. So like I've never got into the whole Minecraft
I
world,
couldn't I
but
couldn't either.
yeah, it's like they've made it so that even in their core game, there's so many different things you can do in it, which makes it keeps makes
Yeah,
you keep coming back, because you take a Fortnite, it's not just battle royale anymore. It's game modes in the battle royale, and you could hide and seek and splash paintball, and so they just keep adding things to it that keeps it relevant, keeps it fresh, keep it
you can
new.
never get bored
And
with it.
it
Well,
I get but you know kids love it, and it's
yeah,
so even to the setting up your own servers and things like that. That was something you couldn't even fathom when you were a
right.
kid. Like, "Oh, wait, I can make my own game in your game, and
That's
it's
pretty
mine.
crazy.
I can
Yeah.
do it." So that's really the separation of you know the evolution of games. Like we could have, like, I'm sure, pretty sure we would have, but it's come a
Yeah.
long way.
And I mean, you're right. And like one thing I wanted to ask in terms of that is, well, not in terms of that, but kind of to a different concept, but almost following on that, is how you feel about DLC. Like in terms of like, do you feel? Because like one thing I've noticed is that one thing I've always kind of stood as a crusader against games nowadays is that I hate when games come out and it's like it's not that it's not finished, but it's like half the game is locked. And I think like I used to like I was okay with DLC when it was like something extra to the game. Like, oh, you want an additional story part of the game or something like that. Or you want some characters that literally have nothing to do with the game. Like, or just add it on extra. Yeah, sure. And it seemed like I know it seemed like some games now, it's like, oh yeah, DLC is part of it. Like you literally need it to continue the game. And it just seems
Right.
like that's kind of a I'm first, I know in my opinion, I think that's an issue. I wanted to ask you in your opinion. That's something that you've seen.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a money grab. And it also, I don't want to say it's lazy, but it makes it feel as if it prevents them from coming out with another game because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we'll just do this add-on and they'll keep playing. Like if you think about Grand Theft Auto,
I
they've had
really think that's what their problem is. Yeah.
so many DLCs. You could have made a whole nother game in this, what was it, 10, 12, 13
People
years
been playing
span?
online for over 10 years, and that's just been like to your point, they're still adding new stuff to it. And it's like, why don't you just make it like it's to your point, like the time and effort that you put creating all these new different things for online is crazy when you could just make a new game.
Right. And then you have games like, let's take a wrestling, for example, where the DLC is new characters, new
Yeah.
moves, you know, you're still gonna get a new game, but all right, this person got moved up. Now we got to add them to the game. So, this person just came, we got to add
Yeah,
them
we
to the
add them
game.
to the
That
game. Yeah.
makes sense because now you're adding something new to the game that wasn't even a thing before. Or like basketball, if there was like, no, I can't even use basketball because the only thing is going to be a trade. You don't need a DLC for that.
Right.
Um, let's take I played the Hogwarts Legacies. Complete game, amazing game. The DLC was a continuation of that story.
Yeah.
And it made sense because it was, you have to play hours of the game before you finish it. So now you're adding new missions and for the people
Yeah.
that finish the game to keep your game going a little bit longer. That makes sense. I mean, you can only do but so much in
Right.
a Harry Potter game.
Game. Yeah.
Like eh, eh,
Now
another
I hear
game
you.
for
I
me.
hear you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say another game for me that does this is Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny is another game that has DLCs constantly, and they could just create a new game. And their DLCs aren't cheap either. They're like 70, 80, 100. Like they're expensive every time a DLC comes out. And it's just a couple more missions in the same game, you know, upgrade the gun
Yeah.
to this level. It's not really, you can just make another game,
Uh,
you know?
no, I agree with you. I think like two DLCs out the last not the last two, the two best DLCs I can think I remember were one, I think it was Batman was Arkham Knight, but both of them were similar in terms of the DLC was like an additional story. After, like with Batman, it was after the game. Like once you beat the game, it had an additional story to it, and it
Mhm.
was like four new boss characters essentially. But it had, it wasn't going to impact, or you didn't need. I mean, it wasn't impacting the original game. Like, and then I think what was the other one? Was it Ghost of Tsushima? I think it was. That one was like you went to a separate island and did everything on this separate island before you went back to the main line. And
Okay.
so it was also separate from the actual game itself. And those I was like, okay, that's cool. And then some to your point is like, well, if it's actually where we're going to just keep adding it into it, we're going to make it integral to the part of the game. It's like, well, just make a new game.
And
And
see, my problem with that is one because of how much it costs. If you're
right,
gonna drop the DLC, make it free. Like
right.
it's just I already bought the game.
It should come
Like
as part of the game.
continuing on this story that you want me to keep playing, make it free, or cheaper.
Yeah,
Um, it shouldn't feel like I'm buying a new game for an add-on
yeah, I agree.
because it's not a new game, you
I
know?
agree. Yeah, you've already bought the game, like that, the actual game itself. So, like, if you're going to tell me, oh yeah, we have an additional part of the game, okay, well then cool. Like, well,
Right.
no, we're going to sell it to you. But like, I've already paid for the game, so
Exactly. They should be a regular update. Just update it and then let me get we've added these new missions. Just go ahead and jump back in and play. All right. But if I have to pay $80
yeah,
for two new maps, two new guns, same characters, nothing else changes, and here you go. Nah, I don't want it.
I agree with you. And like, it's crazy because like that kind of leads into something else I've noticed that one thing is kind of like a it's like a quiet killer, or at least what I've noticed with people is since maybe my PlayStation 3 is the fact that either now games take, especially when they somewhere so much DLC with it, games take so much of your hard drive space that it's like now if you buy a console, you automatically have to think to yourself, I need to get an external hard drive with it. Like it's like it's a part of it now. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy because like go if you try to and then if you unless you buy like the largest internal one that you can, like size wise that you can, there's no way that you're going to be able to keep most games on your system. Like more than like a few, like more than a very small few, it seems like even more because Call of Duty takes up so much, like, so much that you just can't. I mean, it's crazy. Like it's like an automatic force. I don't think a lot of people have really like calculated that into like that's an actual expense. But when you have a console, you automatically have to start thinking, nah, I got to get a hard drive too.
Right. Now I don't know how true this is. They say the reason why these games take up so much space is because they don't want you to have any other game on your
I can
console.
believe it. I can believe it.
And it's like, all right, so if my game takes up half of the storage, he may have one, maybe two other games. He's not gonna, keep
Yeah,
deleting to come back. And so if my game takes up the most space, he's gonna play my game. And I can see it as well, but that's so bad. That's horrible. If
yeah.
that's
It
true,
makes no sense to do that. Like,
it's if that's true, that's horrible.
yeah, it makes no sense to do that because it's like, okay, once that person gets done with your game, I get you. Like, if it's the biggest one, but once that person's done with your game, they're not going to put it back on. Like, they
Yeah,
are not.
you're
Like,
correct.
and it's just the weirdest thing. And like the other part of it to something else you've already mentioned, it's something I hate more than or more than these other things I talked about is microtransactions. And like that I used to be mad. 2K, I think is they're not the worst at it, but they're to me, they're like the standard bearer on how just to make it blatant. And like I see the people on the internet talking about, oh, why does a do-rag in 2K cost more than the do-rag in real life? Like that's a great question. Like that is a great question. Like I,
That
I used to
Yeah,
make fun of like I would make fun of kids and be like, oh, you on Fortnite and you're looking at different skins and all this stuff, but I'm on 2K and I'm literally sitting there shopping through clothes like, oh, dang, do I want these? Like, do I want these joggers on my character or I don't want these? Like, it's the same thing. And it's just so wild,
yeah.
like it's the
It's a killer.
wild.
It's a killer. To almost the point of, once you may get one outfit and that's what you got for the year. You
Yeah.
may buy one or you're playing through the game, you may get some free stuff. Like that's what you're wearing. You gonna mix and match the free stuff that they give you, and that's all I got on.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, I don't remember when it's became so bad, but you playing these games, it's it costs so much real money,
Yes.
um that it kind of take that I feel like is probably one of the biggest killers of this gaming industry right now is, like I said before, it's like almost like a huge money grab. Like even though Fortnite is current and they keep up with what's going on, it shouldn't cost $5 every time something happens in social media and now you put it out and now every kid wants it,
Right.
and it's smart business wise because they know these kids are going to ask their parents for the Robux, the V-Bucks and all that other
Hmm.
stuff. And it's going to be constant money. Um, if we're, using 2K, every time you want to make a new player, we talking about $100 minimum.
Nobody play. Yeah. And I think that the crazy thing with 2K is like, I think they made it harder to advance your player to make it to where you would buy BC, like literally where they're trying to like, if you want to like this old school, I'm gonna just grind this guy up. It's gonna be like 2, 3 seasons in his career
Yeah,
before he's nice. Like it's forcing you to like try to be like, oh no, buy some BC. Like,
right. It used to, if I'm not mistaken, they used to give you some with the player when you start,
yeah,
like you certain level, and it wasn't a 60 or 50, like you were about an 85 starting out. So you were halfway decent, getting into like you starting out as a 60. in your career in the NBA, you can't do
Do
anything.
anything. Like you're just
Like
there. Like
there's
literally, you're just
yeah.
on the court hoping not to get embarrassed. Like literally, that's the only thing you're out there doing.
And they're like, you know what? They're gonna buy it. They're gonna be so bad. They're gonna have to buy this VC. And if they want to play with their friends, they're gonna have to buy this VC. And if you want to look good, you got to buy this VC. Anything you want to do, especially 2K is probably the worst. You have to spend real money,
I need to get it.
right? And like you said, with the do-rag costing more than a real do-rag, they're charging real jacket prices, real jogger sneaker prices for these virtual
This,
items. And then not this year, but in the past, you had to buy it over every character you
yeah,
had. So you can even take what you
transfer
bought
it over.
one
Yeah,
month.
I think
Yeah,
that somebody, I don't know if enough
everything.
people complain to them about that. Well, now they're like, all right, we'll let you transfer. If you bought it, you have access to it. Because I'm
You
with you. It's
know,
like I
like
bought it for one. Why do I not have it for all of them? Like,
I feel like if you made your player a 99, I should be able to, when I make another player, he's a 99 too. I already spent the money, I already, you know,
yeah, I'm like transfer it automatically over. Yeah,
or if I delete it, let me get it back. And I could start over and make a new player with that same VC and I could adjust stuff and instead of it's gone. It's just
let your
completely
VC
gone.
transfer over.
That too. Oh, if I told you how much VC that I have lost, I could have made 20 players this year from the time I've been playing to today.
I know
Oh
I
man.
had at least like 400,000 on 2K18 because like I would play it. I didn't have a need to like advance my player anymore,
Right.
so it was just building up. Like I know I had at least that, and I was so upset about that
Yeah.
because I was like, y'all can't just let me advance that over. To your point, like I'd have had like the best player out the next year. Like just
And I believe 2K is one of the few that don't let you do that.
yeah,
Call of Duty, you can transfer it between consoles, you can transfer it between games. Every new game, you don't lose that. It just carries over. Fortnite, any console you go to, you know, anytime something else comes out, MLB The Show,
yeah,
it just keeps
transfers over.
continuing on. So you can do it if you chose to. Why not let us keep this VC?
Yeah, if for some reason they want to make you just to your point, I go back to that. It's just a money grab. They want to make you just do it every time. Like and like Call of Duty is pretty bad at it. They're pretty bad at it, but I think Call of Duty thing is it's just so much different stuff you can buy. But Call of Duty, I'm trying to think of the first year that Call of Duty introduced seasons. Like I'm trying to think of the first year that 2K introduced buying BC. Because I think that's two crucial years of where all this started. Like I really do. Because I'm trying to think of the first year Call of Duty introduced seasons. Because I think seasons is pretty much just the biggest microtransaction. Like you're like, oh
Mm.
yeah, we're having the season with all this stuff. You can have access to it.
So Call of Duty in Seasons was maybe 3 years ago, but Fortnite was doing it way before them. Fortnite's the one that started doing the seasons,
Wow.
and then everyone else started doing it. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is 2K's second year doing it. So Call of Duty might be 3 or 4 years prior.
Yeah, 2K is doing seasons. Man, yeah, they
Yeah.
sure are.
So, and I don't Call of Duty is not as bad. Call of Duty is a lot of cosmetics, just like the Fortnite and like
They
you
got
don't
caught with the
have,
Fortnite bug
yeah, you don't have to buy anything on Call of Duty
to play it. Yeah.
to play it. No. Like you get the game, the guns, if you want to purchase a gun, that's fine. You don't have to though. So, you know, it's so much
They
different
do a
from
good job at allowing you
right.
to steal. If you just wanted to get on and play, like if you woke up from a coma, about 10-year coma, was like, oh, last Call of Duty I played was Modern Warfare 2 on like PS4 or something like that. Yeah, you could come back into Call of Duty and be like, okay, like you might look weird about some of the stuff you're shooting at, but okay, like it
Right.
still works the same. Like, and so yeah,
Right.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
and like I think
So,
that one of the things I wanted to ask was about like you as a streamer. I think streaming definitely changed culture. I think because it made people more. I think it made people more. What's the word I'm looking for? It made gaming more of a relatable because
Mhm.
you're there for the personality. You see like people having fun. Like literally, I think in watching streams, you see people having fun playing a game. Like, and I think that's one of the more beautiful parts of it is that you see that. And I just wanted to kind of get from you, like, how do you think streaming kind of changed, kind of where gaming kind of changed how gaming was seen?
So for me, I think it was you get to it helped the gaming industry in a couple of ways. For one, you get to watch and see games that you necessarily were unsure about, right?
Yeah,
You're like, I don't know about this game. You see someone playing, like, okay, that's not that bad. I like the way this looks. You know, all of those things where you had to buy it and that's it. You can now watch it and be like, nah, I don't think that's gonna work for me. Just because of the name, you're like, I gotta get it.
yeah,
You can watch and see. Um, it also, people build communities from it. You get you watching a stream and you're chatting and you're talking to other people, and now you have a group of people that enjoy a game, and now you guys can play the game and so
yeah,
on and so forth. Or, you I'm gonna stream later, and then now these same group of people are gonna watch you stream, and it just builds a community of like-minded people who enjoy the same games you like. Um, and I think that also pushes the gaming industry because now you you don't feel so alone, in something as far as like gaming, a certain style or a certain, character. You're like, I really like this, and you're like, I like it too.
yeah,
So, um, man, what up? I mean, grant the just the financial aspect or the financial freedom that streaming has given people
yeah.
is crazy. If you think about when we were younger, how our parents told us to get off the game because you're never going to make any money off of it.
And now you
Like,
have people, God, making pro athlete contracts as streamers. Like Speed makes more money than a lot of guys do.
right. So, where you would think that you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, astro, whatever those higher paying jobs, it's not
It's
so
not
much,
that, yeah, anymore.
right. You just have such financial freedom, and it's something that you love, like
Yeah.
that's the definition of, if you love what you do, you never work in a day in your life. Like, it's
Yeah,
the
no, you're right
you know,
about that. It's the exact definition of it. Like, I think you brought up one thing I think was key, like for me at least, was watching. I use it a lot to watch games, like to watch, like literally, like games that I know, like some games might be like, okay, I probably wouldn't play it, or like, okay, like what was the last game? It was a horror game too, because I don't even like horror games. So it was like
Mhm.
Alan Wake 2. Was that I watched
Okay.
some people play that. And I was just like, because I just found the story interesting. They were like, oh my God, like it's such a good. And I like you can, it allows you, like I said, to sit back, and then the streamer itself, the dude was kind of funny. So like watching him play it and kind of go, like you can kind of get into it. And so yeah, it was a very, I think to your point, is just making it that much more accessible, making it not accessible, making you feel connected to it, making it more kind of human.
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't seem like it's not like just some robotic, like some kid just sitting there robotically, just like, like, it's like an actual, it's a guy or a girl, a person just talking. Like they're going through the same things. They get confused by stuff. They miss things that like. And so I think to that point, to your point, I think when streaming isn't like it's not like I used to watch one guy that was like number one in the world, and I think like Battlefield. Yeah, like watching him is different. Like
Right.
like what like that's a different type of thing. Like he's on there and it's a straight business. Like
Right. So you'll watch him for the skill,
yeah,
because and his personality is probably okay, but you're watching the highest level of people playing that game, and you're like, all right, you know what where where your bar is at. Like, all
yeah,
right, well, I need to never make it in the lobby with him.
yeah, right. Sometimes it's cool just to see that, like to see really where people can take somebody. Like just the extent of where the developers, how they design some of this stuff, like, oh, I didn't even know like you could really pull this off. Like, yeah, like,
Mhm.
like I
Yeah.
used to love games like Marvel versus Capcom and all that stuff, like the fighting games, because I was never great at them. Like
Hmm.
fighting games were always my weakness because I could never put like movies together. Like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, I could play them, but like I was never great at them. But it was always interesting to me to watch people that were like really good because they would just do stuff where I was like, I wish. Like I just like, oh yeah, it's just a move back down. Like I wish. Like I and
I'm the same way. I was never a fighting gamer.
yeah,
I can watch it. I enjoy watching it, but I was never good enough to, I could probably beat a couple friends. I may win a round or two, but it's just something about it. I can't, I don't know what it is about, the fight, even like the fight nights, the UFC game, like it's just something about them. I just cannot play them. Like
yeah.
I play them, but not good enough to like, if I'm playing online, I know I'm gonna rack up a couple. No, nah,
I
not
mean,
me.
and like one thing I wanted to ask you kind of and this kind of runs a little bit into it, is that I think we both kind of seen in the sense of it, people that to kind of bring a negative point of it, like people that play only for kind of they take it too seriously. They only play for winning and for stats. And I think that's one of like I think one of the few when we talk just to bring it kind of open in it open side of you, one of the few negatives that we kind of seen come out of it. I think is to we mentioned this a little earlier, is that competition is kind of picked up in the sense people. I think I think just quite honestly, competition picked up out of him just not wanting to be embarrassed. I think a lot of people just don't want to be like I think Call of Duty is good at this because a lot of people don't want to be seen as last on the leaderboard. Like I
Right.
think just like like at the end of the match, I think a lot of people just don't want to be seen last. I think if they didn't show the leaderboard, a lot of people would just would play with a lot less animosity. Like I really do.
So I'm like, I am I, I talk mess. Like
I
if
feel you. I
I'm
do too.
playing
Like
and one of my friends is at the bottom, oh, I'm talking mess. I'm like, man, my back hurt. Man, you didn't even show up today. Oh man. So your thumbs work like like I'm that
yeah,
guy. And so it's all in fun.
yeah. It's
Uh,
all in fun.
but you definitely can tell, the people like perfect example of, what you're saying is there's so many people cheating in these games for that reason. They want to be the best. They want to have their names as the highest in the whatever. So they end up paying for cheats and paying for, all this other stuff, and that's killing the game more
Yeah.
than anything is the cheating for stats and the cheating for wins to say I got the most wins and whatever. You don't get anything out of it. So I
You
don't know
really
why
don't.
why you know you want to be on the top of the leaderboard or want to be and especially enough to make you cheat.
I think you bring up a good point because I think yeah, like Call we bring up Call of Duty a lot because I think it's such a wide example of so many different elements of this. Like yeah, it sucks because even with the older ones, it gets to a point to where like the leader, I mean, just the servers are just hacked, like just completely almost like hacked. And I think to your point, it does ruin the game because for to your point, it's a lot of people who it's not even about being the best at the game. They just want to see their name up as number one and say, "Oh yeah, I'm just like the best there." And I think that's definitely a negative of it that's killing it. Um, One thing I wanted to ask to stay on the Call of Duty topic for a second is one thing I hear a lot of people complain about is skill-based matchmaking. And like I was growing up, I was in the lucky position of like the person I played with the most was really good at Call of Duty. So I was used to being not number one. Like,
Mhm.
and I was used to try even at like playing my best game and being like, oh, so you just went 40-3. Okay. Like, like, and sometimes it's like, and I could be like, oh, I could be number one in the leaderboard. I could be like, I've seen myself up there enough times, but I've also like remember when I was never that. So like
Mhm.
with me, I'm like, okay, I have never felt like, oh, I'm number one on a leaderboard for a few games, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, am I in here with Navy SEALs? Like I've seen, I felt like sometimes where I was just like, okay, I might just be off my game. Like I'm just gonna call it. Like I'm gonna just maybe I'm just off. But like some people generally, and I've seen them make arguments for it. It's like, no, man, if you win a few games at Call of Duty, next thing you know, you're in there with John Wick. Like, and I just wanted to see like, how do you feel about that?
Um, so I have mixed feelings about it. A part of me, I get it, because like if you think about it, like you always want to get better. You don't want to keep playing against. You don't
Right,
want to be the guy in that lobby who's beating up on everybody, because you're that much better than them.
right.
Um,
I
they
agree.
might have just started and so on and so forth. And now, so there should be a level of moving up, like, all right, you're not on their level. Let's move you up. Okay, you're about here. Let's see how you do at the next level. And then once you get there, then it's like, all right,
Yeah,
why y'all put me in here? But I do think, based on the person, it's if you want to get better or not, for lack of a better, like if you are there and it's like, all right, so this is where I want to be. I need to try to get better at this level. All right, then I can move up to the next. And then, so that part of it is cool. What I don't like about it is it's random.
yeah.
It's not always, all right, I moved up here. I'm really good. I moved up here. I'm halfway decent. Let me stay here for a little while. No, it's like the next game, you're at the top. And now you get dropped, and they're just going to keep dropping you back until eventually you get to. So that takes the fun out of the game, because now you're, as soon as you come back to life, you're getting killed, and that's not
Yeah.
fun. Like nobody wants to, as soon as they spawn, die, because you're in here with people that only play this game and don't work and all this other stuff, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me get
You,
off this game.
you hit the nail on the head of a point that I think a lot of games are experiencing. And I think that's one of the issues where you have people that are so hyper, I don't even say hyper competitive, because I don't think it's about competition. It's just hyper focused on it. Like, because it's people like, again, Call of Duty is a great measuring stick to use it for, because just how you can measure somebody's success. Like, I can see when playing against somebody where it's like, oh, you have every gun go. You put a lot of time in this. It took me a lot of time to get guns go big. Like, in older games, like I've golded a lot of guns.
Mhm.
It takes time. Like, no, oh, you have everything, every melee weapon, everything. Oh, yeah, you took time. I remember one time, for the first time ever, I saw somebody with obsidian. I was like, oh, you really play this? Like,
Wow.
this is really what you do. Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it's times with that where it's like games where I would be playing, in a match, and yeah, I just got to put the controller down. I'm like, all right, like I'm just like, we just got to let them go to the next match. I see y'all are on your points, like you're on your spots. I can't. There's nothing that we can do about this.
Right.
Okay.
I think it should be like, if I was in the developer's shoes, or like it should be a casual mode
Yeah.
compared to a competitive mode. In that casual mode, there's not, you may run into, somebody playing with their friend, and, they're really good, or they're playing at a high level, but everybody else is basically on the same level as you. And you don't want to go for, like, you just want to get a
Yeah.
couple kills and get off, and then have that rank mode where you're trying to move up and you're trying to, you know, just separate it, like don't have everything skill-based matchmaking. Have a casual, have you know, a regular, or I don't even know what to call it, and then the
I think
competitive
I think you're
ranked.
right. I think they can. I mean, I think they, a lot of modes have, a lot of games have the ability to do so, because a lot of them have the ability to rank their players. Like they do it all the time. And some of them have like, oh yeah, we have leagues and tournaments. So they have the ability to say, oh yeah, if you want to get into this, like you really want to play best for the best and try to, really be on it, come here. I think to your point, Call of Duty, people are trying, like I see people and they're just going hard. Like I'm diving every time, I'm hopping up and down 30 times a game. I'm like, yeah, man, you're doing a lot. Like
Mhm.
you're doing a lot and you might, but it is,
What we were talking about earlier with the emergence of how social media works and all, a lot of these people are doing it for the social media aspect of it.
yeah,
To, everything is a clip. Oh, clip it. Oh, clip that. Clip, so that way they could build a resume of them doing some really cool stuff. So that way they can, you know,
yeah, post on the
be
internet and everything.
seen.
Yeah,
But yeah. And that if I'm just a casual gamer and I'm just on because I just got off of work and I just want to play a couple games to relax and if my
yeah,
friends are on whatever, like that takes the fun out of it for me.
right.
You know,
It
it's
does.
it's their like it's turning into their job, where for me it's not even on my radar. Like
Right.
why am I
It's
in it?
not, yeah,
Like,
it's nowhere even near that serious. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I
So
agree with you. And that to your point, it does that over seriousness does take like some of it out. And one question I wanted to ask, I don't see this as much anymore. Like Call of Duty did this when they first came out. And like you used to have an issue of developers putting out unfinished games, at least at the release. And like I don't see it as much anymore, but I used to think that was a huge issue. Like I think because so many people have raised so much hell about it, maybe they've kind of curtailed it back. But that was one of the negative sides of like gaming that I thought was becoming a real problem. And I don't think it was as much just because like the gaming companies were just like, oh, just like, screw these people that want to play it. I think it was because they were under such pressure to kind of meet these deadlines that they had put out. Um, and like I think a lot of games, especially with like the like stuff like E3 and like and like Comic Con, where they put out, their pressure to, oh, we got to come out with a demo for this, we got to come out with a trailer for
mm,
this, we have to have a date for this, and I think that's it's pushed to where there is a lot of kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, pressure just to kind of put stuff out quickly, and I think that's something that hopefully we won't see as much anymore. I think it's died down. But just one thing I've noted that just was a problem, a big problem for a while.
yeah,
Yeah. So
so I think that's why we see that games aren't coming out so often and
right.
why they only do a DLC now. Because the games weren't coming out complete and it was a rush to get them out and they were flopping, they was crashing, they was losing players, they were doing all type like the weirdest stuff,
Yeah.
and they had such a backlash because of it. They were like, all right, let's take a little bit longer on this game and make sure it's the finished product. Let's take a little, you know, I don't really think this is gonna come out and it's gonna work the way we want it to. Let's push it back again. Grand Theft Auto is the perfect example of a game getting pushed back. That game was supposed to come out 4 years ago, maybe, and they keep pushing it. They just pushed it back this year,
Yeah.
to next year. And I think it's the pressure of if it comes out and it's not good or it's not what the hype has been
It's
built
an
up about.
enormous bar to live up to.
Yeah, and they'll just keep pushing it back.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but it was running rampant at one point, because everyone was in a rush to get their game out before the next person. Call of Duty was big. 2K was another one that was coming out, and you had server issues and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Cyberpunk might have been the biggest one.
Yeah.
When
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk
had a
came
lot of
out.
issues.
Yeah, and it was messing up people's PCs and all that other stuff. So, now a lot of people have stepped back and they're like, all right, let's make sure before we
Yeah,
do
we got
this.
everything. Yeah, we got it all together.
hmm Because like you said, it was more, it did more harm than good. So now we're in that other space where we're like, all right, you can come out with something else now. Like
Yeah,
we've been
like
playing
where
this
it's
game
starting to
too
get
long.
slow, and it's like, okay, we need something. Yeah.
Yeah, because at a certain point, uh you just get tired of playing the same game.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you definitely do. And like one thing. that I've noticed, and I say one thing I've noticed, like I think we've all noticed it, like especially like when your internet goes out or something, is that a lot of games don't the dependency of online for games, I think, is annoying in the sense that like a lot of games feel like it's just a paperweight. If you do not have Wi-Fi, like literally it is just a paperweight. Like you can't do a thing on it. Um, and it's crazy because it seems like obviously like we remember a time where games before internet, or even where internet was like online was a very small part of the game. It was like, hey,
Mhm.
and we're introducing, hey, you can get online and play with people. Like we still had to promote like the game itself.
Right.
And like it's crazy to where now most games just is like some, I mean, even some games are like the story mode is online or it needs like an online to update or element. And if you, yeah, if you have a storm at your house or your power is out, that's just tough. Like,
Right. I experienced this not too long ago with PlayStation. Their network went down, and you couldn't load up
yes,
not one
anything.
single game. Any game you had, whether you had a disc, whether you had, and I'm gonna touch back on this whole disc thing in retrospect to what we're talking about. Um, if you didn't have internet at all, you couldn't play any game you had. You need PlayStation Network or place you needed it, internet to play any mode, and that's horrible. Now, the disc thing is another thing that bothers me so much. I know everyone wants to be digital, less space, carbon footprint, whatever you want to call it. I don't understand why you would sell a disc, then have me download the game, and I still need to have the disc in the console to play the game.
Right. Yeah. Like what why do I have the game downloaded on my system then?
It's just nonsense. What am I? Not even that. What's the point of me buying the disc?
Yeah. Like what is it for?
Because I still need the internet. I still need to download. Like it's more worthless than anything they do. Why? I don't understand it. For the
Like
amount of money they spend to make these discs, they could put it into a hard drive and make the hard drive bigger. And if that's the way you want to go about doing it, let's
yeah.
save money on that. So don't charge me as much for the hard drive space because now I know it's going to be digital and save that money because I still have to download it. I still have to have the space and I still have to have the disc.
Yeah.
It's too
Like
much.
that's pretty crazy. That's like it's almost like we'll offer you a shortcut or an easier way to do it, but you still need everything that you're gonna need before. So like what was the point?
Like,
And yeah.
and you need internet. So if I have the disc, I can't download it without internet. So it's not like I put the disc in and it's gonna
Yeah.
work. So it's just pointless. I don't understand the disc at all. Like
I don't
if you
either.
to just sell the book with the digital, like with a digital code, do that then. Like this make no sense.
They don't. Like in this era of like, and it makes no sense for a lot of reasons. Like when they started selling games virtually, we should have went away from disc. Like when they started the concept of, hey, you can go on PlayStation Network and buy the game and automatically download it onto your system. And when PlayStation started making non-disc versions of their console, we should have just went completely away from disc. Like I don't understand why we're still using those. To your point, because I still would have to have the internet. I still have to like the concept of this would be at this point the physical copy of the game I have. So if like I had just power in this house and I just turned this on, I should still be able to play this game. But if I cannot play this game because I don't have internet, then there was no reason for me to have the disc. Like I might as well just it might as well just been on the PlayStation to begin with.
At that point, it's just a paper,
Yeah,
literally a paperweight. Like,
paper.
so now I just got it's just useless. They're so useless at this point. Um, and like I said, I can't even. I used to think if I brought the disc, if anything happens, I can trade it back in and get my money back or get some type of But even that,
Yeah.
you don't get anything near what you would get what you bought it for. And if you buy it digitally anyway, you have it forever.
Yeah.
Like you literally, as long as you can
You can
download it, you
delete
have
it
it
and it's
forever.
still there. Yeah, you can just upload it back and it's still there.
Now, granted, you probably won't play it again, but you still
Have
own
it.
it forever.
Yeah,
And it takes up no space.
it's true. And like one thing I want to ask is one thing I want to ask is about if you feel like, well, let me first start back. Like one game that I really love was I'm a big Red Dead Redemption fan, right? And so the second one, like I remember people were saying like, oh, it's one of the best games of all time and all of this. And I agree with that. Like I really do. I remember looking at a video like this person review it, and he was like, "It's one of the best games of all time, but it's an absolute bore to play." And like, I was like, I can see where he's coming from. And one thing that he was talking about was just like the ultra realism of it. It's like you get it because it does, but it does take out the fun of it to where it's like if I'm walking through a room, do you want to put on this hat? Okay, put on hat. Open this drawer, open drawer. Do you want to grab this carton of cigarettes? Grab cigarettes. Do you want to close the drawer? Close the drawer. Like it seems like all of that isn't, it's like, do you really need to simulate every single motion of what you were doing? Or even like in the point of like a game part, like just something simple like, oh, I'm gonna go hunt a deer. It could literally take you 30 minutes in the game, like in real time doing that in the game, just to hunt a deer. And like, I'm like, okay, that's if you're, I get it because that's not an easy task to do in real life. Like that takes a while. Like, and so it's like part of it is like the the dedication to realism is, I mean, it's admirable because you really are putting that level of effort in the game. But is it fun? Like, is it the point of the game, I guess? So,
So I think that goes back to how, what we were originally started with is it's an escape. It's
yeah,
you're now in this world and you're fully immersed. Like
yeah, you're really
everything
a
that you
cowboy.
have to do, right. You are in it. Like, you know, I gotta get these I gotta make sure I cut this sheet the right way so I can get the fabric, this leather right. And if I mess up, it's no good. Poor quality. If I kill this animal wrong, it's poor quality. It's that, it's literally an escape into this reality of this game. And they do an amazing job of putting you in that character's shoes and having you walk through eh, just a regular his life
Yeah,
in that time frame. Because you also have to think about the time frame that, well, not time frame, but the time of when it was happening. Like we're talking about cowboys, horses, so it was already a slower paced
yeah.
time. So, it ain't gonna be, you ain't gonna ride that
Yeah,
fast
you're
on a
not you're not
horse.
getting
Like,
from city to city in like 5 seconds. You ain't driving 80 miles down the highway. No, you riding
right.
down the trail on a horse.
So it's like it's ultra realism in that. And it's a group of a lot of people who enjoy that style of play.
Yeah,
The same for another example of it is The Sims. I never got into The Sims, but The Sims is
yeah.
a game that once you're in it, this is like you're a part of this world. Like
People love
you
it.
have,
Yeah,
yeah, you have created these characters, you have made a story. Like it's your own world
yeah.
and you can escape into it and you can make it whatever you want, and that brings out the creativity in that particular game. So yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know, I didn't really like Red Dead Redemption, um but it's just not the type of game I
I
enjoy.
understand it.
So that's what it was for me. Not because it was, super slow or boring or anything like that. It just wasn't. So I got, for the people that love it, I get it. It's just, I'm a Halo guy. So
Yeah,
that sort of was run and gun and the whole, so I love that type of games,
Yeah,
genre. So
I get it. And I think one thing I've seen an increase of just in terms of the realism part of it, to your point of like there's a market for people that just enjoy that certain, it's like simulators. And I can look on like PlayStation Network and it's like a hotel simulator, gardener simulator, like trucking simulator. And
mhm.
like people are playing it. And to your point, I think it's like if it brings you that like because there are some people it's like, I just want to cut grass. Like and you can just cut grass. Like, and it doesn't have to be, oh yeah, you're cutting grass until some alien force comes down or you gotta go save people. No, I'm just like somebody hired me to cut their grass. I'm going to cut their grass, and that is the extent of what you're doing. And it's
Right.
dope
Yeah,
that
like
it's dope that there's a game that allows people that want like I've never thought to myself, I want to know how it feels to run a hotel in real life. But somebody may. And
mhm.
if you want to do that, then it's really dope that there's a game that allows you to just be like, no, like room five needs more towels. Like get more towels for room five. Like, and that's the pressing part of it. Like, and I can
Yeah,
imagine. I really can. Like,
right. Look, they got the like you said, the trucking one, the flight simulator has been big for forever. Flight
yeah.
simulator. People want to be a pilot, and they're on that. I think they even use that to
Yeah, I'm
really
not
learn
saying I think
how
they
to fly.
use it for training. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the I seen a grocery store one where you could run a convenience store and you're like getting so that's amazing that like we said, that they have that for that group of people that want to be in this world and want to, escape into that. And those are really fun to watch. If you watch people on Twitch
Because
do
they're
those,
so
oh
into it. And it like they're really it's like, yeah, I watched people do the grass one. And it's like I get it because like yeah they're like no you got to cut in this line like no we're staying like oh yeah I'm about to get this right here yeah this line gonna be looking right and I like yeah but you see like their excitement in it I mean that's what gaming is like
yeah,
you come into that excitement and so I mean yeah it's beautiful to see different people enjoy different things like it
yeah,
really is and like, I think, we talked about I guess the pro gamer, the gamer leagues and gaming competitions at a peak. And we kind of talked about how a lot of I don't say a lot of that, but some people emulate that, wanting to be like that. So I don't think I have to go back into that. But one thing I think is interesting to note just in terms of gaming nowadays is that I mean, and I can't say nowadays because as I was saying earlier, my first console was a Game Boy Color, but just it's not just consoles, anymore. Like gaming is, I mean, it's not even just consoles in terms of like a handheld console. Like gaming is on your phone now, like
hmm
it's on your tablet. Like people like can play games like well, I forget the ones like League League of Legends and stuff, like the little games that you
yes,
play, like app games, and those. I mean, that's gaming now. Like people stream those too. Like that's gaming now. So like, it's interesting to see how it's expanded, to just everything kind of.
yeah. What game was it? Pokemon Go, another one
Yeah,
that went super crazy, and that's a mobile game. And if you can't scroll on any social media without seeing hundreds of,
mobile game apps.
yeah, from the Block Blast and the King whatever, and it's
Yeah,
like,
King. Yeah, the one you match the stuff, and it's the
yeah,
King. Yeah,
yeah, that one. Uh-huh. And they're fun, quick games that you could play on the go while you're, on break or something. So even the Call of Duty mobile
yeah,
really was really successful,
yes, it was.
and popular. So um they're definitely making it more accessible to a lot more people. Even on some of the Netflix now has games.
Yeah, they do. I saw that last time I was on it. And I did. I was like, really? I played the trivia crack
Okay.
on there, but I didn't see like now they have like a whole game section. It's like yeah,
Yeah.
like more, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
fun.
it's definitely a lot of people are getting into that market
Yeah.
as far as wanting to develop games, and why not? It's open.
Yeah, man.
People have
Hey,
ideas.
if there's a market for it, why not? I'm with you.
Hmm.
And like one thing that I read about, I thought was interesting, was talking about it was this article where this guy was saying that the president of Sony, I think it was, saying how the PlayStation 6 is already like their top priority. And the guy just, no, I remember now. It was a video on the internet. It was like a reel or something. And the guy was just like, this is like part of the problem. Like PlayStation 5 came out and was like unavailable for 2 years. Like you couldn't get one for almost 2 years straight.
Hmm.
And it's saying, so like people don't have time to enjoy like the ones that they have. And it's like, I get it because I do feel like, I've had my PlayStation 5 for a while now. It's like, yeah, it does still feel like almost like a new system. Like it still does feel like a new system to me.
Yeah, I think that I think I got mine a year after it came out, but it still doesn't feel like it's been out for that long in
Right.
comparison to, some of the other console cycles where it seemed like, man, when we gonna get a new,
PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3 was forever.
right? It's like, all right, when do we be? So what I really think is, what more? What's the reason for making another console? What more in gaming are you going to do that we're gonna need a new console,
Right.
right? You're not coming out with enough games to for me to see, all right, we need a new console. I I there used to be a time where Xbox and PlayStation and all these systems had exclusives. You don't even see exclusive games anymore
Right.
for me to think, all right, we need a new console, you know, like
Almost
Tomb
everything is cross-played now. Yeah.
right, Halo, certain games you knew when it came out, they were gonna have a iteration of that
Yeah.
uh style, I mean not the style, series of game. There was a game coming out. You knew Xbox, there was gonna be a new Halo. Um, you knew there was gonna be a new Uncharted for PlayStation, or Tomb Raider, or Gran Turismo, or like you knew these were exclusive to this system, and a new game was coming out.
Right.
They don't have that anymore. So it's hard for me to see why do we need a new console?
No,
You
I
know,
agree with you.
we're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
make the games.
I agree with you because, like, I mean, there's nothing in my opinion that I was impressed with Xbox's last console in terms of just how much of an overall entertainment system it was and how interchangeable my homeboy Chris would have it. And he could change from his TV back to the game, turn the music on, check his email, all these different things. And then
Hmm.
Sony itself as a gaming system, I think they have kind of perfected. I think the PlayStation 5 works pretty wonderfully. Like I've never had an issue with it though, in terms of just how quickly you can change over from a game to another game. The graphics on it, are like games now look more realistic than I don't see how much more it could. Like, like you can't pitch me on saying, oh, the graphics are going to be this much higher. Like I don't see like if I play 2K25 now, like they look pretty much they move like everything is pretty much where I feel like I'm watching a real basketball game.
Hmm.
So like I think it's, I mean, and I think they have to be to a degree a little bit cognizant of that because like if you release like let's say they release a PlayStation 6 next year, there's certain people, including myself, probably you're not gonna get it for a few
No.
years because why would you? Like, and they're not gonna stop making games for the PlayStation 5 until probably a few years in
But see, even with that, they're still making games for PlayStation 4
or
because
now, yeah,
not everyone has the PlayStation 5. So why would you then move on to the 6 when there's people that still didn't get the 5?
right,
Like you didn't, not enough people have separated from the 4 and only have a 5 to then, there were no price drops really on the PlayStation 5 to then say, all right, PlayStation 5 is in every household. We could stop making games for the PlayStation 4. Everyone has a PlayStation 5. That used to be a thing,
Right.
like PlayStation 4. Almost everyone had a PlayStation 4 if you were a PlayStation person. Xbox 360 or Xbox One, I don't remember. Everyone had one.
Yeah. And now it's
So,
just, yeah, it's definitely changed. And and I think, especially with that whole, like the first year, they were talking about how, pretty much they were almost all sold out everywhere that you wanted to find one. And I'm thinking, well, now PlayStation 6, like they got to expect that it's almost going to be the same way, where a lot of people are just going to be like, I'm gonna wait a year or wait 2 years when they finally, are out on the shelves because like if you can go to the store now and they'll have PlayStation 5s on the shelves, like, but that was not the case when they first came out. Those things were rare.
but we also have to think about when it came out.
Yeah,
It came out at that weird space where, right after COVID, everyone was buying everything and trying to resell it. So
yeah, it didn't
that
have a
was
lot of resellers, yeah, and all
right.
that. But
That
yeah,
was a huge issue because, you just had people just buying them just to buy them, just to stock up and try to sell them for three times what it's worth. And the actual gamers couldn't get the console, you
yeah,
know? So that was the major problem, I think, for those consoles when they came out is no one could buy them because the scalpers were buying them, the what however they were doing that, and you just couldn't get the real gamers couldn't get their hands on it, and we weren't gonna pay 700,
right.
$1,000 for a system. We just,
Yeah,
it just
nobody,
didn't
you're not
make
gonna
sense.
do that.
Yeah.
And I think like you kind of brought me right into like my concerns to a degree. At least one of them to start with is just like I think with new consoles, like especially like if we see a PlayStation 6 come out, and I think especially with games becoming more expensive, I think it's becoming as far as and it's not like anything else in the world isn't becoming more expensive. It's the same as everything else. But it is becoming, I believe, because of that. When you look at some of the stuff we talked about, like with microtransactions and seasons, and um, it's becoming less accessible, I think, for some people to be a gamer
Yeah.
because it's becoming more expensive of a habit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see where it's almost being a it's being priced out, like it's not people aren't going to be able to buy their kids a console anymore. Like it's
Yeah.
just you're going to have one console, maybe a few games, and that's going to be it because it is becoming so expensive to even play the game. Now, once you buy it, now we're talking about hundreds of dollars once we have the game. Like it's like I said earlier, it's a money grab, and
Yeah.
with the economy the way it is, it's hard to be a gamer, you know, because you want every game that comes out. You want to at least try it,
Yeah.
but 70, $80 for the standard version of the game.
God forbid you want like somebody gets the deluxe version or MVP version or something like that, and they're asking for $150 for the same game. Like,
Right. So at that point, then it's like, and then, you know, you can't share games anymore.
right.
You kind of still can, but for the most part, you used to be able to take your disc and go to your friend's house, and now we gotta
Yeah,
pick a game. We can play any game.
and now you can game share, and that's
Right.
really with one person. Like
Yep.
it's to your point, and it's like why with only one person? Like like
Like let's say, I'll use myself as an example. I, have a family of six. Let's say there's three consoles in this. Why can't I share with everyone in my house?
right.
You know, why can't if one person buys it, everyone in the house gets it? Because that would make sense. It would be like I buy a movie or a streaming service, and you
Everybody,
know,
yeah, you just share the same password with everybody.
right. And now we all can play whatever game it is. Or I send a link, or it's, in the cloud in the
Yeah,
house, and now we could all play the game. But other than that, I don't know. A lot of people a lot of these companies are trying to go subscription based with the games.
I
Um,
saw that where they were saying like now like that there's talking people are afraid like you won't actually own the game anymore. It's like, oh, you buy the game for a 5 month period, and after that it goes away. Like
yeah,
I think that's wild. Like, yeah, to your point, I think it's really becoming to where you have to be concerned about whether people are going to be able to, you know, it almost defeats the purpose of if you make it inaccessible to those that want to game, what what is the point of it? But I mean, it seems like it might, be getting to that way.
right.
Um, and I think, that leads into another concern of it just being that kind of, I think the point that we talked about in terms of just it's not like casual gaming is dying, but it is that the kind like a lot of trends and how gaming is today is kind of going against it.
Hmm.
Or sometimes it's hard to just as a casual gamer, you don't ever want to feel like hopping on a video game is something other than just like, oh, it's just gonna be a fun time. Like you don't want it to be anything other than that.
Right. Yeah. I agree. And like, all the points that we've made, it is becoming more of a task because you're like, I paid $80 for this game. I don't want to seem like I'm wasting my money. So now I have
Right.
to play this game. Or, you know, even the social aspect of it is like, well, I don't want to play the way you're playing this game, or but I paid my money, so I want to play this way. And then now
Right.
that's a conflict because they're like, nah, this is the way it's supposed to be. And this is the way you win. If you don't play this way, you're not gonna win. And it's like, I just want to have fun.
People, I don't, that is one thing I'm glad you brought up. I don't know when people became afraid to like try. I remember growing up when you played, especially like you had a game like 2K or NBA Live or anything like that. You used to play with different teams. Like you would try different things, but like to your point, especially with games like 2K, like people will play with the same teams. Like it's to your point, it's like everybody's like, no, this is how you win. This is what you do. And it's like, yeah, but you don't want to try anything else. Like there are all these other players in the game. Like you don't want to try playing with any other team or anybody else for any other reason. Like, yeah, you might lose a game, like, but I mean, like, you might learn how to play with somebody else. Who knows? You might be really good playing with the Pelicans. You never know if you don't try that. Like,
Right. And that goes into something we mentioned earlier, which is the streaming part of it, where
yeah,
I feel like it's the opposite effect of, you know, all the good things I mentioned before. Is there's somebody who's good and is doing it at a high level. Once they say, hey, this is what I'm using to play
everybody's
this
doing that.
game, or everybody is going to copy and paste exactly what they did to the T, just so they can try to be as good, even though they have to know it's a certain skill that comes with that too. you
I mean,
know
I seen Call of Duty where they'll be like, "Oh, this is this person's sensitivity settings. This is like literally, you can see you need to set up everything like this so that you'll be able to move." And I'm just like, yeah, you cannot literally think that you need to copy this person that much in order to like,
I see it a lot on 2K as well.
yeah,
Especially with the my players, like, oh, this is the meta. That's the word, the meta build. The this is the meta point guard build. You got to have this jump shot on, and
hmm
these dribble moves, and he got to be this height, this weight, this, and so you'll go in and you'll have you and your friends, and you're gonna play the same type of player
yeah, you're playing a team
every
of
game.
four and a team of 4 or 5 or 3, and it's the same people, the
Right.
same three players, like
And
just
it's
copy paste the different clothes.
it's I don't know how that's fun.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
either.
it's not creative. Like, it's not, it's I don't know.
No,
Like,
it's not creative at all.
it's not, I don't, and I don't believe this is how game developers intended for their games to be,
I don't think so either, to be honest with you.
but it's almost like exploiting the game to a certain extent. where there it's hard for there to be any variation, but then they gotta go online and then it's an update and they're dropping this level or it's harder to do that. So it's like the nerfs and the buffs is those are the the
Yeah,
terms that they use, and it makes everybody switch. Now it's
yeah.
like, oh, this gun isn't good anymore in Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
now I gotta go. Yeah, to your point, it is like a crazy like reaction type of system to it. I mean, I think you brought up a point though. Like, I think it's some of that is reflective of just bigger societal issues. I think a lot of times people lack creativity. Now, to your point, like it's like I see what I think is successful. I'm going to exactly emulate that. And you can try something, different within yourself. I think also part of that is, some people are just kind of afraid to fail in terms of some of that stuff. Um, I mean, some people, I think, especially like with 2K and stuff, some people, money wise, I think it also preys on people just being quick to spend money. Like obviously, like like hey, buy this real quick. You can come, if you want this particular move, buy this. You want this particular skin, buy this. Like if you know that you're going to, or that somebody is going to off bat. So I think it's reflective of kind of like it's deep. I mean, bigger issue that we have in general. Like they're preying on those same sort of concepts. I think.
So it's funny that because it just got me to thinking. I wonder if some of these companies are like telling certain people, like, hey, tell them this is what they need to do, or tell them, hey,
I'm
look,
sure.
these moves. And then it's like, as soon as they put it out, now everyone's gonna flock and do it. Like, I never thought about, maybe that's how they're keeping, them big streamers is like, all right, we're gonna give you a certain percentage. Look, this is the moves that we're about to change it to. So, have them come out and be like, hey, if you got this build, it's no good anymore, but this is the new build. All right, go ahead and make this one. And it's like an insider tip thing, and now everyone's going to rush and make
And
that build or spend that money just so they can be competitive or think they're being competitive. And there's just it's so much in these games that you know if you just tried something a little different, it may work for you. But because everyone's playing the same way, it makes it real difficult for other people to enjoy, you know,
yeah,
trying something new.
I've definitely seen some streamers that in their promotion of particular games and the way that they go about promoting it, like particularly like, oh, a new character or a new game style or something like that. I think to myself, I'm like, yeah, it definitely sounds like you've been paid by them. Like in
Oh,
terms of just how they like. Now I ain't saying this. I don't know how often. I don't know how big of a streamer you got to be, but sometimes I
mhm.
hear it. I'm like, there's a guy I watch sometimes, and like I hear him talking about Marvel Rivals, and like the way that he'll go into depth about like, oh no, this new character, yeah, they're going to be bomb. They're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, they definitely paid you to do that. Like they definitely paid you to do that.
Right.
Like, I think it's kind of they like gaming is another example of a market where I don't think the quality of the product is dipping, but we definitely see prices increasing. And I think we do see like obviously there are some great games out, but to a point that we notice like you can spend a lot of money on some stuff. And I would have to question if somebody was like, oh, if I bought 2K and like let's say I bought the regular the not the deluxe version 2K, that's like 100. And then I went and on top of that VC, I got some more. I spent like another 100 on VC. And then I might have signed up for seasons as well. Like I have to question if that's really worth the money that you're spending. So to a degree, like I wonder like is the game worth all of that? Like, like and it might be. Like I feel like if I was to look at everything that I spent on like Call of Duty, I'd be like, was it worth it? It might be to me. Like, like if I look back, I'm like, was it worth the game itself? It might be.
I
Like,
think if you think about or look at like the hours you actually played the game,
yeah,
right? And if it's any high number, I think it's worth it. So if it's like 3, 4, 500 hours, it was worth it,
yeah.
because you have gotten a
You
lot
dedicate yourself
out
to
of
it,
this
yeah.
game. So, but if it's something like 25, 20, like you didn't even try that. Like that was just almost a waste, because like Call of Duty for me, I have almost 1,000 hours played of Call of Duty. Now, granted, the hours don't reset from past Call of Duties. So,
But
it
it's
ain't like
still just like, yeah, but over time,
it's
you
one
know,
Call of
like,
Duty.
yeah,
But I know that it's enough. I get enough enjoyment out of it to justify the amount
yeah,
of money I've spent. Um, and I think that's the measuring, like if you
yeah,
can think about how much enjoyment you got in the amount of time that you play it, or you played it enough times where it's like, all right, let's say it was 100, or we'll use the 2K example, and it's we've spent $300. If I played 300 hours, that's $1 an hour,
yeah.
you know? So yeah, all right, I could part with that. That makes sense for me.
No, I agree with you. I think to your point, you're right. Like the litmus test is always how much enjoyment have you gotten out of it. If you truly are putting a lot of time in this game, you remember it, you got fond memories of it, then the money that you spend on it is well spent. Yeah. If you came into the game and was like, oh, I need to get all this stuff off back, and you played it for a while, I was like, oh, this is kind of like whatever. Then yeah, it's like okay, yeah. Or you bought this stuff, it's like, oh, I didn't even really like this game like that. Oh, okay, yeah, that's different.
Right.
And like one thing, it's it's interesting because like I remember you. So like I know you were talking about how like yeah you talk like talking trash is a part of the games, but I've talked a lot of trash. I've gotten a lot of arguments, and even then, one of the best times in gaming for me, honestly, especially when I was younger, like the Call of Duty, like the game rooms and the chat lounges and everything like that. Like that was a great time. Like I have very fond memories of cursing people out. Like I have very fond memories of that. And like
Yeah.
one thing I think is interesting now is that it seems I hear people always talk about how they miss those days because it's not the same type of environment now. Where sometimes it seems like, I don't know, it doesn't seem more intentional. People seem a lot, they're different online. Like, and it's just like the chat is different with people now. Some people seem to take it a lot more serious. Um, I don't know.
So,
How do
so
you feel about
and
it?
I'm about to say something that's going to sound crazy, right? I want there to be a either like a group chat or like a Discord chat room for people in a certain age group,
Yeah,
right? And that way they can play games together. Because just like society, these younger kids playing these games will make you not want to play the game
they
anymore.
will.
And I think that's the difference, because we're not only playing with people who's like played these games and enjoyed them and have grown with them like we have, so they don't understand how fun it is to, once the game is over, being like, man, you at the bottom of the league, I killed you 15 times, like,
Yeah,
like it's just so different that that would make it so much better, just to get back to the core gamers who started with the gaming, to just be on and just enjoy just talking mess to each other, but in a fun way.
yeah.
And you know and it's only about the game. It's no real,
They get
because
personal really fast. They get personal very fast.
right. And you know that's a thing that I see on social media a lot, like the old heads playing 2K, like, oh, these old head gamers. Because no, we play basketball a little different from
Yeah.
how you guys play,
They criticize
So,
that. Yeah, I think that's wild. It's like, oh, you play basketball like old head. It's like because basketball was played differently back then. Like,
right. So we're not setting screens and watching one person dribble around to a shot. Like that's not how we used to play.
right.
That's not how we watch basketball. That's not basketball, period. I don't care what like that's not
I agree
basketball.
with you.
So like if that's what you think and I get it, they're like, no, this is a game. Like we're playing the game. And I get that, but no, we're playing basketball, even though
Yeah,
it's a game. We're still trying to play
You're
basketball.
playing simulated basketball. Like,
Right. You're just out here trying to play a game.
right.
We're trying to play basketball. So I think that's the difference in, it's the generational gap, which what's changed how we view gaming as well.
No, I think that definitely makes
You know,
sense.
it's just a game for them. It's something more to us.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes sense because like I it is just a game for them. And it seems like, and it's weird because it's not like they don't have as much fun, but it is a very different environment. And to your point, you don't like, I don't play, I always hated playing games on mute, but oftentimes I do it more now because I'm like, I don't even feel like talking to you kids. Like, it's just how it is kind of went.
I 1,000% agree. Like nothing drives me crazier than I'm and I play 2K a lot. I'm on 2K. I got my headset on, but I don't have my mic on. And then I hear, oh, what kind of and I'm like, whoa, like, so I
Yeah, they
can't
get
miss a
mad.
shot. Like I
They
can't.
get mad. Yeah.
And then they start doing all them, they don't want to pass to you. And I'm like, this is a basketball. Like, come on, come on.
Like,
And
I'm
it
not,
just
I'm not passing you,
like
bro.
it
You
kills it.
trash. Like, all right.
Yeah. So then it makes me only want to play when I have a group of people on. And then, but that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be meeting new people. I can't tell you how many people I've met playing Halo online when it first came out, and we're still friends now
Yeah.
to this day. Like that's what
Yeah.
gaming was. You meet new people, you had a good game, and you're like, hey, look, you did really good. Let's run a couple more. And then it just goes from there.
I think the concept of what they call like randoms, I think that has really destroyed a lot of it because
Hmm.
like you don't look at people as people anymore. It's like, oh, I'm just online with a bunch of randoms. Like you don't look at it as like people, like that you're
Right.
actually playing with. To your point, I think it was almost like because it was like a newer thing with us. It was like, oh, you're playing online. Like I'm online with other people, and so it was like, oh snap, I'm online playing with other people. Now I think they're so to your point, they're so used to it to where it's like if I'm not with the group that I know or feel comfortable with, like, no, I'm just online with a bunch of randoms. And it makes it to where it's like, oh, it's like, oh, they don't know how to play or they don't do this because they're randoms. And it doesn't, it's like, what is a random? Like, it's just somebody that you don't know. Like,
Right.
so yeah, that has been a real big change for me. Like, it really has. And like, on a serious note, like, one thing I think the biggest concern I have regarding, I guess, where gaming is went is just I think there's a lot more dangers to it now. And I think like you can speak to this, obviously having kids, especially with younger kids, with stuff like I know you have to kind of be cognizant of like who they're interacting with. Like, because there's been, I mean, I know they talk about, oh yeah, there's people on, Fortnite and Roblox and stuff that are trying to inappropriately contact children. I mean, there's people on games trying to inappropriately contact adults. Like, it's not like it's one or the other. Like,
Yeah.
but I think, that in terms of there's a lot, I think, and I don't think it's like just gaming. I think this is more or less technology. As technology expands, people expand with it. I think you have instances of people, being kind of creeps in game rooms or I mean, just data breaches. Like, when you buy stuff off of 2K and everything, like that's your
Mhm.
financial information. Like, and I think,
Um,
yeah, it's all just, there's a lot more dangers now. And see,
yeah.
get your take on that.
I so it's it is a lot worse now. Because like we talked about when we were gaming young, there was no online, you
Right.
know, and then by the time online became a thing, we were, you know, for me at least, I was teen adults getting in, moving into that. So, you had to pay for that too. And if you didn't like you had to work to pay, parents weren't paying to have their kids online.
Right.
And you didn't have to, so now like we were talking about earlier, it's to the point where you have to be
Yeah, it's
online
a
to play these
necessity. Yeah.
games. So now you have almost forced the day, like you put it out like, all right, now anyone can have access to, this chat, I mean, this lobby, this whatever. And if the chat is on, everyone can hear you, you can hear them. And you know I, like you said, having a younger son who's a gamer, he loves playing video games. You have to be like, well, who's this person? Why'd you add them? Who you talking to?
Hmm.
Like, you have to be um aware of what they're doing, who they're adding, because even back, you'd have someone like, hey, give me a password and yada yada yada. I'm gonna give you this character. I must say you this skin and so on and so forth. And there were people that did it and got their accounts hacked and
Hmm.
couldn't get back into it. So it's been a thing. But it is a lot easier because one, so many more people have it,
Yeah.
and you just you can't avoid it. Like, if you want your kid to play a game, if he enjoys games, you have to have them online. Otherwise, they can't play the games. So, and then it's the dangers of, the cyberbullying and all that other stuff because of these games. So it is a a task. You got to be vigilant in making sure you're just staying on top of it and aware of what they're doing, who they're adding. I have parental locks and stuff, so there are things or things you can do to prevent it, but those locks sometimes just stop you from playing the game. And
Yeah.
so now you got to be like, all right, let me.
Yeah. You got to take the. Yeah, I feel you.
Right.
No, I mean, I think that's a good take on it because, like, I think obviously chats are becoming so much more accessible. Like when we were younger, it used to be like, I remember when chat rooms themselves were a thing, like literally just a site designed as a chat room. And so, like,
Hmm.
it used to be just like those sort of interactions is like it had to be so much more set up for it. Now everything has like an InDesign chat feature, or even just like communication is just so much easier with somebody, and it's just crazy to not crazy to see because it's just part of like how technologies went. But to your point, just how you have to be kind of vigilant in just what everybody's looking at and just kind of what they're being exposed to.
Yeah, because
So
it's out there, and
yeah,
it,
and
with the
so
way.
like
Okay.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, with the way technology has gone, you know, these kids are also being exposed to a lot of this stuff sooner than we were,
Right.
uh, because of these interactions and so on and so forth, and the fact that you're on a Roblox, a Fortnite, and you don't know what the lobby is, and then you go in there and it's like, whoa, what is this that you're playing? Like, no, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's everywhere, of you just don't know. They could look on YouTube and it could start out as they're watching something on Minecraft, and then next thing you know, it's they talk about something completely different. So,
Yeah.
it's scary. But like I said, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch them.
It makes sense. And like I think to kind of wrap it up to a degree, like some of the stuff that we talked about, like I think gaming is appealing for multiple reasons. I mean, we talked about like a lot of them, and like it's a healthy activity, for obviously for people to pursue. And so, like, don't want anybody to come out this podcast thinking like, gaming isn't like good. Like, it's healthy for people to pursue, and that now that everybody is kind of into it, like, it's understandable that it's the culture has changed to kind of meet that. Like for better, there's positives and negatives to it, but it's changed in a sense to meet them. Everybody, businesses, everything is kind of into it and embracing it. And like with that, I think the core of it is always going to be with casual gaming. I mean, I think in terms of just what drives people to it is, oh, I just want to have fun. I just want to pick this up and have fun. And I think that's always going to be the core of it. I think what we've seen is a big base of gaming as a kind of a promotional tool. in the sense of, it's either I compete with it or like to a degree, I think streaming is a good way of half and half where you see like streamers where like, oh, I do this because it's casual. I love it. And, people connect to that. And some people are like, I do this because it's my promotion. Like it's part, like to your point of like, this is my job now.
Hmm.
And like, I think, we've seen kind of both sides of that. But I think, at the end of the day, it has to be, that focus has for the community and like for it to stay strong, that focus has to be on the casual side of it. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think, this is gaming is supposed to be, fun, light, distracting. It's not supposed to be serious. Like nobody's supposed to feel like, yeah, when I clock on to here, I'm about to go to work. I really got to go. Like I now got to prove myself when I'm pressing my PlayStation on. Like,
Hmm.
and so I mean, I think that's just like, yeah. I mean, I think if I would leave a point in concluding this, I think that's really what I would like to bring is that I think we have to maintain that gaming as a casual type of concept and that people get on it to enjoy themselves, they have fun, and everything competition and everything has to be built off of that, but it can't change from that being the core base.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, not just in, the video game aspect of it, people love playing games.
Yeah.
Games have been a part of people's enjoyment forever, forever. Video games was just technology's way of, you know, continuing it. And, I love video games. I am a gamer, not like a get every game, but I love playing video games. That's
Yeah.
it's my joy. Um, and I don't know when I don't know if I'm gonna ever stop.
Yeah,
So,
I'm with you. I don't think I am either. Like, that's something I'm going to forever do.
right. So if you enjoy it, keep enjoying it, That's what I could leave with.
And so, everybody, that will wrap up our episode. Again, this is the Maybe I'm Just Not Getting It podcast. I'm your host, Robert Davis. Again, follow me on um, Instagram and Facebook. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Again, the podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our radio. But until next time, again, Clarence, I appreciate you hopping on and speaking with me about this, and have to have you on again in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, anytime I'm here.
Everybody, I'll see you next time.